This is every letter in the alphabet ranked, except there's tiers going all the way down to Z tier. And every tier will have just one letter in it. So, let's just get started. So, the singular S tier letter may not be what you think it is. You may think it may be A or E or S or T, but no, actually, no. No, it's J. This guy right here is the S tier. Now, you may wonder why. Well, the answer to that question is actually pretty simple. See, the first time I ever considered ranking every letter, I spun a wheel. And the letter that the wheel landed on was J, therefore making it the greatest letter that there is. Alright, next up is A tier. And this one may be a tad bit more predictable, because simply enough, it's just A. Now, A is a pretty dang good letter, and I think that, honestly, I was kind of surprised with it not being number one at first, but then I remembered that wheel and, all that. And, it's just this first letter of the alphabet, and really important letter as well. Right, in B tier, we have E. Now, E is such a popular letter. Like, you don't see many letters more than you see E. In fact, you don't see any letters more than you see E, unless you don't read the letter E very much. See, E is just such a popular letter, it would have been hard to not give it one of the top tiers here. Now, if I was doing a standard tier list with just S, A, B, C, D, and F, this next one would be the one that finishes off the S tier. Now, in the C tier, I have P. Now, this might not seem right to you, but man, it feels accurate, It just is. And I'll tell you why. Because P, it feels like it's the underdog of letters. It's just right there waiting to be recognized as one of the greats. Because to me, I feel like it is. Alright, so then we have the first D tier letter that we are going to find. And I think that, first A tier, and this one is the D letter, which I do believe is T. I think T earns the spot. Because T is a famous letter, like one of the most common consonants, and really just, sounds pretty cool, like t, t, t. So, yeah, that's where I put that. Now, the next one I do in the E tier spot is F. Now, this is partly because of, the sound that's just so extravagating almost. Also because of how wonderful in a standard tier list F tier is. Like, wow, it's good to have a tier like that. Now, this is where things start to get interesting because we're leaving the letters that I feel like are really, really great and getting into the letters that are less of such. And I think that what I've got to put here is L. Now, L is like the second most underestimated letter in the alphabet besides P. Like, it's in the standard Wheel of Fortune, RSTLNE, free thing for the person who wins, but it's not, it's like the last one you think of, like, it's like, what are the most common letters in the alphabet? You think, R, S, T, and E, and you don't really think L, so I think that L kind of, it's kind of hidden, but at the same time, it earns its way up here. All right, next up, we have M. Now, M is a good letter right here. Like, saying otherwise just doesn't feel right. And I think that just G tier is a solid tier for, like, the sound, It's, like, so good. So good. And then we'll have the longest straight in a row of back-to-back letters with N coming up here. It's, like, right there. Almost want to put it above M, but I think I just held back enough that I think M gets the edge. But two really great letters there, and, it's a pretty common one. M is less common than N, and I do have a bit more favoritism towards M than I do N, and that's just the only reason why M is above. All right, our next letter and the last in this 4 in a row straight is going to be O. Now, O is another vowel, one that I personally really like, and, I think it pretty well deserves to have a spot as high as this one. And I think that just the standard circle, too, for it just feels almost right. Like, I feel like there's no other letter that could pull off being a circle like that. But here it is. All right, in J tier, we're going to have I. Now, I is another good vowel and one of only 2 letters that is also a word in the entire English alphabet. And I was definitely debating putting it higher, maybe in front of M, but I feel like it pretty well earns J tier. Alright, so then, now I have a pretty tough decision. Which one do I want? And I think I inevitably decided H goes in J tier, or K tier. This is because H is, well, a weird letter, a good one. Because without H, there's no TH, th, CH, ch, SH, sh. There kind of is still PH, but without H, there'd be no PH values. It's just so perfect. And I think that K is probably where it deserves to be. Next up, we have R. Now, R made its way up here through some solid, fighting. Like, it earned its way up here. We value R here. It's a good letter, and it definitely squeezed out the top half. Now, the last letter that squeezed out the top half is a bit tough. Because I have to think of which one of these letters remaining is really... Or wait, I just realized. No, it doesn't, because S is the top tier. So, okay, which of these letters is going to be the first one to start the second half, is what that means then. And I think I'm going to go G. And this is because G is a fun letter. Now, I don't like how much it steals from J, like in the words gorgeous. The second G is not really necessary and could just be a J. But at the same time, it's a solid letter. And, it's still a good letter even though it's in the lower half. Now, following that, I think I'll have to put K. Now, K is horrendously underused as a letter, with being stolen a lot by C, but man, do I love that K sound. You don't get that sound from a lot of other, well, you do get that sound from a lot of other letters, but it's still a good sound. Now, following that, I'm going to put D. Now, D is going pretty low on this list, and that is just the nature of how it's going to be, because, it doesn't make one of those sounds that can just last, like J makes the J, or F makes the F, does just da da da, like it's weird. And I get that a lot of other letters do that, but I feel like D, it's just worse. Like at least with K, it's like D is like it's a hard vowel sound, or hard consonant sound each time. That being said, without D, there'd be no past tense, and I think that's why it's staying as high as it is. Now, following that, we're down to just 10 letters. And I think next up is going to have to be B. And now, B is a pretty good letter as well. But, sound strong, but also weak in the, buzz, even harder vowel, and honestly just kind of a soft P, like puh. And I like that. I love that puh sound, but not really that buh sound. So that leaves us with just 9 letters remaining. And I think next comes our last vowel, which is U. Now, U, I could understand an argument saying that it's underranked. And it probably is, honestly, but at the same time, it's not really that necessary. The least of the vowels, I feel like. Like, the hard U sound is really the only purpose for it. Even that isn't in that many words. Like, it's in the word U, obviously. But if it's like an sound, it's kind of like the word, the letter A, but just softer. So I feel like it kind of doesn't really get the best spot just because of that. Now the next letter, this is where it starts to get tough, because there's some bad letters down here. And I think I'm going to give the next one to B. Now B would have so much more potential. I actually really like the V sound. It has a long-lasting V, not instead of just like sound, and just pleasing. Like in like words of vehicle or RV. Like you really put that emphasis on that V there that I really like. And V honestly could be up to an A and possibly even an S. The fact that it's so underused and really isn't just that good in comparison. So now we're down to the hardest part of the tier list, and I think next is going to be Z. Now Z, also known as Z if you're wrong, is a simple letter that is just very rarely used, with a lot of scenarios where it could be used being taken over by S. Now, like, Z is just kind of a hard S, and I can kind of understand why. So I guess that's the explanation for it. Now we're really diving deep into what some of the worst letters left in the alphabet. These final 6 are, there's 20 letters before them for a reason. And next up, I will have a Q. I love Q. Now, Q is a bad letter, pretty much. It just kind of, like, there's already a C, a K, and a K, and if there was a U following one of those guys, like if the word quick was spelled Kuick, how do you think the world would really change at all? Like, I feel like Q is an unnecessary letter that we just don't need. So that's where it's going where it is. Now, these final 5 letters are probably the ones that I'd give F tier to. Now, the next one we have is X. Now, X is just unnecessary. Like, I don't think it's necessarily bad like some of the other ones are, but actually, you know what? No, not yet, actually. I'm going to do Y in the V tier spot. And here's why I'm going to do V. Y for Y and V tier. Because Y is probably better than X, and it's just not a necessary letter. Like, there's not too much good about it, not too much bad about it. It just kind of there. Like, as a consonant, it's good, like in the word you or in the word... Actually, what words even have a Y? Like, it's a really non-common consonant, and as a vowel, it's just, like, not really necessary. Like, the word scary could be spelled Scarie, and no one would really bat an eye. So that's where it is. And then here we'll put X, because, well, X is certainly character. Like, I think X and Y are around the same, except for the last detail I'll show about X, which lowers it. So X, again, just not necessary. Like, just the letter K and then the letter S can make the sound. Like, I don't know, if you were the word fox, you could literally spell it Foks, and it, boom, fixes it right up. Then in the X tier, I forgot the most important detail about X. Now, if you notice on the tier list, the X is the logo for what is now called X, aka Elon Musk's version of Twitter, recreation of Twitter. And calling it X just why, Elon? Like, I get you're obsessed with the letter X for some reason, but, like, Twitter has become a worse place because of it, and I think that X will go in the W tier because of that. Now, in the X tier, we have C. Now, C, you guys are like, I know exactly what you're talking about C. Or you're like, what do you mean C is in X tier? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And I'll tell you why. Because C does not need to exist. In fact, C exists removes placements from a good letter in K. Like, man, it'd be so much better if K was just always there. Like, I mean, think of the word, I don't know, cooking. Like, why can't cooking be Kooking? Like, that's such a, like, it makes more sense than having C be a thing. And then my next argument is why it's not Y or Z, and why it's X instead. Now, that's because it can also take the place of the letter X, or not X, S, in some scenarios, which is honestly not that bad, but then again, to look at the two remaining, I don't think anyone really expected to see S here, so, yeah. And, like, it's just not really that important for S either. Like, I mean, if you're gonna use S, you can, like, for words in, like, sincere, you don't need that to be spelled Cincere. Like, what? That's just unnecessary. Anyways, in Y tier, we'll have W. Yep, that's right. W in Y tier. And the reason why, pretty simple. While the woo sound, actually, I don't like that either. Because W is weird, because it's not quite a super hard sound like P or T. It's not a soft sound like Z or F. Like, it's like, it feels soft, like W, but like woo, it doesn't really do the thing that Z or F does. So you kind of have to go whoa, 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 but it doesn't feel right because it's not a hard sound either. So that's already an annoying part. Second off, the name of the letter is, wow, it's awful. W. Now, if we scroll back up to where U is, there's U right here, there. And, well, I mean, I guess if you're writing your W with two curves, then I guess that's accurate. But that's a double V, if you ask me. Also, more importantly, why is it 3 syllables long? Every other letter in the alphabet, all of these guys, are all 1 syllable long. You know what isn't? W, and it's 3 syllables. That's more than double. That's triple the amount of syllables of every other letter in the alphabet. Like, seriously, a letter being triple the length? Oh my gosh, it's awful. And then the last letter. And by far what the least people here expected. In Z tier, we have S. Now you may be asking why. S is a really good letter. S is how you make a word plural. Imagine what the world would be like if there was no S. There would be no plurals. Well, first off, that's just not true. I've ever heard of the word oxen or mice, like. But more importantly, it's the sound that it makes. Now, you're like, you're probably thinking, you like the soft sounds, the ones like, the ones that, like, kind of last like that. Well, usually. Except for one tiny little pet peeve. Now, half the time I don't notice this, honestly. And because of how often I say the letter S, usually it's not very important. important that I care about this. But then again, it's so annoying, so freaking annoying. And I think that that's just simply enough why I hate the letter S. Like, you can go through the video and see how, like, it almost sounds like I'm Snake. Just every time I say the letter S. And anytime anyone else does either. I don't think it deserves to be a letter. I think we should just find something else for when it's a plural. Like, I don't know, maybe a sequence at the end of the words that has, like, A and then J at the end. I don't know. Please, anything to get rid of S. It's the only letter that I think is genuinely, like, awful. Like, and C, I do feel like could go a lot higher if it's just, like, another K. But, like, the entire idea of a sound is so bad. Now, I do suppose the letter S could be replaced, or could be a little bit better because of the SH sound, which is another soft sound that I do like. But why can't there just be its own letter? Alright, well, anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and comment what's your favorite letter, and which letter you think is like my S. And if you want to see the entire list again, here it is.